What's going on, guys? Welcome back to your Lake Fork Guy. Got my good buddy Michael J. McFarland in the house.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
yes, sir.
man, you know, look, wintertime, be grindy. Scope helps us make it easier. We talked about that last week. Now, look, when it can still be grindy to make them bite, you just get to stay on them because the scope, sometimes it's really hard to get them to bite. And the big thing these days, everybody's talking about pinging a minnow.
Pinging a minnow is fact, and it's really producing some really big catches when these fish don't want to eat anything else.
That's right, and you have an extensive background in finesse fishing coming from the West Coast and super clear water. So today, folks, we're about to break down in depth. Mike's going to help us talk about how to catch them pinging a minnow. I can't believe I'm this gay, but we're going to ping a minnow. Well, look, guys, Mike, like, I'm not a minnow pinger. I'm not a finesse fisherman of any kind. I think everybody knows that. So you're going to have to explain this to me, like, break it down Barney style, as we used to say in the Marine Corps. Break it down, Barney. Like, I'm going to need it. I'm going to need all the simple stuff. Tell me, just get me started. What equipment do I need to fish this dang minnow?
So the first thing, just to kind of make it a little entertaining too with you, is, you know, when I came to Texas, I got away from the spinning rod. I've been here 13 years, and if you ask me, I don't go bear hunting with a BB gun. So when you say break a spinning rod out on fork, it's just a no-no. I would tell all my clients, no, until now. We've got live scoping, and it's changed the whole era of fishing. One of the things that I want you to understand is you have to have a finesse rod, a light line, to fish a minnow. You can't fish it on 20-pound test. You just can't fish it on a big heavy bait caster.
So tell me why it has to be so finesse, because it's not for visibility's sake around here, because our water is pretty stained up.
So the first thing is the equipment. So, you know, I'm going to be using a very small little minnow, 1 to 2, 3-inch type bait, lightweight head, 10-pound test line. If you can go lighter.
This is the Lake Fork tackle minnow?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Okay, cool.
Designed by Mr. Jeff Sprague.
There you go.
So, you know, the equipment, first of all, is going to be like finesse fishing. You're going to have a lightweight rod. This is a Abu Garcia 7-foot rod. It's a 1/4 to 3 ounce, 8 to 14 pounds. So it still has good backing in it for me to handle big fish on fork, but I have 10-pound test.
And that's a Veritas spinning rod you got there.
Veritas, Abu Garcia Veritas. Same thing I've got here is just a Revo MGX, but it is a high gear ratio reel. You can get spinning rods with higher gear ratio reels. I recommend for these bass and control, you have one of those higher gear ratio reels. It's important. In fact, this one says it on it. I can't remember. But this one holds braid really well, and that's going to be the key for me on fork. Is a lot of guys are still running braid instead of straight 10-pound test. They're using, you know, 20-pound braid and then tying leader line. Mm-hmm. I don't like the braid because I get a lot of wind knots. But the equipment is going to definitely be your lighter base stuff than you're used to using on Lake Fork. Again, because we're using such a small bait. We may be using a weight at 16th ounce. We may go 1/8. We may go 1/4 or even half. But in order to work that bait right, okay, you need that lighter line.
So what you're saying here, let me see if I can help break this down a little more Barney style. The light line, the light rod, all that stuff, you can overpower a bait and affect the action if your stuff is too heavy, correct?
And I was just about to get to there. So first thing first is just to be able to throw this real accurately, you need to have that lighter line, which braid, for example, is very light diameter, okay? So real quick too, by the way, with braid, I want to clear something jumping off side. You have braid has round braid and flat braid. Usually the round braid is going to be more weave. So you're going to have, say, 9 strand in round. It's going to cast smoother. Where maybe you have 5 strand in they're both the same pound test. So remember, you do want more round braid. But the key, and I haven't got to working the bait yet, and what the line does in the water, the key is I have to have lighter line to be able to effectively cast this. Once that I'm casting this now in the water, this is where it's critical. That 10-pound fluorocarbon will have a presentation on this bait much more lifelike than if I had 15-pound. So even if I went to 5 pounds, let's say this is 10 here, you can really see the difference in the lifelike of the bait, the naturalness. As you said, they're not seeing the line.
It's kind of a hard thing to explain in words. It's more like a feel and a see thing, but like you can do that. And I know that from fishing just like a Cinco or a weightless fluke or whatever. If you get too big a line, it can, I just call it, it's like muting the action. It just doesn't flow as free. It doesn't move around as good. There's more resistance from, I mean, look, line creates resistance drifting through the water.
100%.
It 100% does. The heavier the line, the bigger diameter line, the more resistance you're going to get. Braid floats, that creates resistance that's different than fluoro. So a lot of different things when you're talking about something this light and finesse can really affect it.
And then the other factor that you're leading me into is perfectly is ask yourself, why am I going to this? Well, we've gone out live scoping. They chased the Alabama rig, wouldn't eat it. They chased the jerkbait, they wouldn't eat it. We have to go down to these finicky fish. We want this to be as lifelike as possible. So less is more. We want to get as much out of here with that lighter line as possible. And I'm going to share a true story with you. If you ever watch the archives of Mr. Aaron Martins with his spinning rod, and you watch him actually, I've got to change this. I don't even know where I changed it.
Don't hook me in the head.
I won't. I don't remember where the switch is, but he back reels, okay, when he gets a fish. Because the drag on a spinning rod, the lowest drag is about 5 pounds. Aaron Martin would go to 3 pound test line, which no longer activates the drag system, so he would have to back reel for his 3-4 pound fish when he get them on.
Bro, that's crazy.
But why would he do that? If you back in the day would take a drop shot, tie up your rig and go in a swimming pool and look at 8 pound test, 6 pound test, and 3 pound test, the action of that worm was completely different on each one. And the lighter the line that it was attached to, the more lifelike that worm looked naturally on its own.
Yeah.
So I'm applying the same thing to this tiny little minnow. It's like a crappie minnow. It's a little bigger than crappie minnow generally.
Man, there's a crappie on fork that'll eat it.
But even the sinking rate, this with that light line, it's sinking down at a beautiful rate.
Yeah.
You put it on a heavy rate and you may not even get it sink all the way through. So that's where we're going. It's taking us into this finesse fishing. It's really important to be the fluorocarbon. I'm going to tell you, for fork so far, I've found 10 pound test seems to be just fine. I still want that heavy duty hook and things like that in the gear as well. So don't do light wire little.
Yeah, I noticed that for how late a line, how light of line you're talking about. That hook's a little heavier gauge than I would have thought it would be.
So since we're still talking equipment, rod line.
It's not like a crazy heavy gauge hook, but it's like a good heavy wire 3/0 hook.
We're still trying to catch 6 to 8 to 10 pound bass. You think about
or 6 or 7 pound bass.
Yeah, I mean, and they'll straighten out those little hooks. So make sure that component-wise, rod, reel, etc., we got that talked about, but the hook needs to be heavy duty on fork.
Yeah.
You'll get straightened out. You'll be sad.
Okay. That's good gear. Where are we going to find these fish this time of year, Mike?
So there's 3-4 different places that you can find these fish. And again, this is a live scoping deal, 99% only. I don't just go out and fish that minnow. It's all about scoping. So you're going to be looking first on bridge corners, bridge pylons, big water, main lake, to backwaters.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know anything about fishing a minnow, but I do know about locating main lake fish in the winter on fork. We've been doing it a long time, but mostly with the Alabama rig with me and jerk bait and different things, but Clyde bait a little bit. But on fork, it can be a lot of places. Like, it can be a big area of the lake. Like, a lot of it is just, steep drops are good. Vertical cover is good. But we have vertical cover all over this lake with all the standing timber. You can see just out that way behind it, you see a bunch of standing timber. So it's in a lot of the lake. There's a lot of standing timber. I think the main key is to figure out a depth for that day.
Yep.
Are they in 20 foot of water suspended at 10? Are they in 15 foot of water suspended at 12? Or, it can vary. They can be in all different depths and suspended at different depths, but there'll usually be a key depth that you got to be in where you're seeing most of the fish, whether it is 10, 15, 20, or anywhere in between, or even deeper sometimes. But if you can kind of start with your electronics, locating where the fish are set up for that day, keep your boat in that depth of water is the main thing. Find out what depth they're sitting in, because believe it or not, in the winter, they're rarely bottom.
Yeah.
Like, these main lake fish tend to suspend in the winter out here, from what I've seen.
They do.
And that's
100%.
why things like this, the Alabama rig, the minnow, the jerk bait, like, those are big baits this time of year because of the suspending nature. So get in an area that has the right depth. I think it does help. To me, it does help to be around some points or some type of structure. Maybe that's just in my head, because now with live scope, like, you see these guys, man, they're just covering water in a certain depth range, and they're finding them in some of the most random places.
Places we never thought before. And that's the thing. I think the key thing that I got out, you said that you all should get from this, is it's vertical structure. Cover. You know, that's why we're talking about pylons in the bridges, trees. The trees on Fork are your key. There's your vertical structure. You can find trees in the mouth of Dale, the mouth of Wolf, the mouth of Grimes, Cheney Creek, the mouth of Little Katy. And they're all going to affect.
Let me slow that up. About 80% of the lake, you can find standing timber. About 80%.
Everywhere. And there's bass in all of them. So you don't necessarily have to run around and move around a lot. I think the Alabama rig's a perfect search bait. I think jerk bait is usually where you're going to catch them on one of those two. The one thing that I will explain that I've been witnessing is I tend to go into the minnow more after the cold fronts hit the first day. I'm calling it the sting. You get the front hits on Monday. They're stung Monday night, Tuesday night. The first 24, 48 hours out of that, they're acclimating. They're getting used to what just had them. You had that sting of the fish. That seems to be when they seem to not necessarily the least active, but they're hardest to get them to bite. They may follow, but not bite. That seems to be when the minnow's the best.
Is that kind of like your cue to? Is that like one of your big cues to decide to throw the minnows? If you're seeing a lot of followers that are non-committal, now, okay, it's time to go more finesse.
The minnow's last, yes. Yeah. The minnow's not the first go-to. I'm going to go to everything else. The minnow is when I say, okay, it's like the baby. The baby will not open its mouth. I'm trying to feed the baby, and I've tried the airplane and everything else, and I've tried all the things. What do you got to go to? You go to whatever, the little sweet thing. This is the go-to when you're live scoping and the bass are finicky. Okay. The challenge with it is it is small, so it's hard to see.
Yeah.
And you have to, this isn't one that they'll follow out like the Alabama rig.
So I've noticed today that you have two different head shapes. You got two minnows rigged up, and there's two different head shapes. Tell me about that.
I do. And this is more of a Mike thing because of the history and my experience of fishing. So you talked about the clear water of the West Coast. We did this kind of fishing, light line in Lake Mead and Havasu and the crystal clear water fisheries with beaver style baits, and what we actually wanted was we wanted it to pendulum spiraling kind of down through the open water schooling fish. We didn't have trees, we didn't have the cover like we do here that they held on, so there was open water suspending. We wanted the bait to fall through pendulum style, but you like that erraticness, and that's what you're going to get, answering your question, from the two heads. So the darter head, which is more pointed, is going to have more of an erratic darting, swirling than the round. Personally, I prefer the round. It keeps more true. And as I was just talking about, we're trying to put this right on their nose.
Yeah.
And I want that perfect control. So I don't want it to go hunting left and right. I have less control. So if they're active, sometimes that left and right will make them bite and chase. If they're non-active, you want that round.
The round head is more controllable. Gotcha.
You'll see it swim a lot different. So
would you say that you find yourself wanting to use the round head more so than the darter head with scope these days?
99% of the time.
Gotcha. So that's usually the go-to is the round
because they're on that cover, and I want that bait to come out off that cover, and potentially that fish comes out and gets it. Open water. Again, it's the spiraling in that open water that gets their attention. I need that control, and that's what's important.
From a technique standpoint, I do this. So to me, this should be pretty relatable to how I fish an Alabama rig, because when I scope with an Alabama rig in the coldest times of year, I really slow the Alabama rig down and kind of drift it to them, keep it over their head, and try to hover it over them as much as possible, right over their head. Is that kind of similar to what you like to do with this?
100%. What you were doing today, what I saw you doing with Alabama is exactly what you do with this.
So in that case, like what I like to do is I'm going to make sure I don't like you heard me a couple times today when I threw one and it like landed where the fish was, like, oh crap, I dropped it on his head. I don't want to throw it and have it fall straight down to him. I want to throw it past him and almost like tight line, let it swing down and almost kind of just drift down from an angle. So like fish is here, I want to throw on my screen here and watch the bait pendulum and drift down. And I always want to keep it above the fish.
Above,
that's a big
100%
deal.
above. Definitely above. This is when they're going to come up and eat. It's just.
where are their eyes at, Mike? They're up on their top.
That's where you want to put it. You want to put that right there where all they got to do is just kiss it. Yeah. It's really important that you do that.
Is there a certain I guess the distance for the A-Rig 2 the distance you want to go past them varies based on the depth they're at. So the deeper they are sitting, the further past them you need to throw to get it down to them.
Correct.
At the right angle.
Right.
Right.
And we're noticing we have to stay farther away from these fish too. So you can't get right up on top of them. You need to have some of that distance, which again goes back to the light line. You're not going to throw a little 3/16 ounce darter head on heavy line and a big rod very far anyway.
Yeah.
So, but you're getting ready to talk about jerk baits here in just a minute. And here's the unique thing. With Alabama rig, we've got to work it and keep it above it. With this, you still have to kind of work it and keep it hovering above the fish. An Alabama rig, is you controlling it. This is you controlling it. The jerk baits, the spinning jerk bait,
controls itself.
It controls itself. So again, this is the go-to if you're just not able to catch them with everything else.
It's kind of like back in the day, guys, when the bite would get tough, or like just because Lake Fork is such a pressured lake, the drop shot became really popular around here like 10, 15 years ago, somewhere in there. I think it's about 15 years ago. The drop shot became like this huge, big deal out here where a lot of the guys were throwing it, a lot of the best tournament anglers. Like back when Zach Hughes was winning all those fish tournaments out here, he was a big drop shot guy. Eric Wright, when he was a teenager in high school, beating the hell out of all the grown-ups out here, huge drop shot fisherman. Ozio, our buddy,
very good.
Ton of success, very good drop shot fisherman. And to me, that's kind of like, this is similar to that drop shot, which y'all know how I feel about the drop shot. I'll be honest with you, I feel the same way about this.
That's what it is.
It's like when it's tough and you have to, this is the deal.
And the cool thing about this, so anybody again that knows me is saying, what, Mike's talking about 10-pound test? I'm not going to take you in a backwater around trees, stumps, and hand you a rod to 10-pound test. Not going to happen. This is generally offshore. Yeah, we might be around some trees and tall trees in deeper water, but it's the only way to get that bite and those bigger fish out there.
Hey, you got to get them on before you can get them off.
If I'm around bridge pylons, I'm in wide open water. I'm not worried about trees.
Yeah.
So this can still be done on fork. This has its application in a lot of great places where it can be done and not get you in trouble. But you go back up and say, the heavy trees of the mouth of wolf and get yourself in trees with 10-pound tests, you're going to have problems. You're going to
it might be the only way you can get them bite, but you're going to have a chore getting them out.
You're going to come home heartbroken. You're going to tell somebody that was a teenager and she schooled that little 10-pound rod.
Yeah.
But it's a have to thing. And now we haven't even talked about, we come to fork for big fish.
We do.
My clients come for slot fish. It's still a great bait to even catch unders.
It is. Yeah, for you tournament guys, like, it's not just, and I think that's where like a lot of those guys that were so great in tournaments use that drop shot all the time, is when it comes to tournaments on Lake Fork with the slot 16 and 24. Well, I mean, a drop shot finesse bait, a finesse bait, that's going to catch a lot of those 2.5 pounders.
And that's where I'm going with you next. My next favorite place for this, and of course you cannot use this open hook like this. You have to go to a weedless style hook. But how many of y'all fish a drop shot in brush piles? How many of y'all fish a little Nico rig in brush piles?
With a scope, though, you can just hover that above the brush pile and never let it get in it.
Scoping the brush piles with this little minnow right here can be deadly, deadly, deadly.
Yeah. So. Man, that's good stuff. Yeah. That's good stuff. Anything, I mean, we're talking about a dude's never touched a spinning rod before, doesn't know how to cast it. Give me some casting tips for spinning rod, because I picked up that rod for about 5 seconds today and I put it right back down because I cannot cast a spinning rod worth of crap.
Oh boy, that's a good question. You just practice makes perfect. With a spinning rod, I like to bring that bait all the way up to the tip where I'm about 3 to 4 inches.
Okay.
Don't let it hang a lot like you maybe would with a bait caster or Alabama rig, 4 foot of hang. Don't let it hang with a spinning rod. Get it up near that tip. And or believe it or not, you can learn how to do a perfect little pitch flip, just like you would when you're flipping baits. Yeah. And I've actually found that
once much better than
once I got that going, the momentum was better for me to just basically pitch it. You're going to have a hard time if you don't fish with a spinning rod a lot and you're bait caster oriented and you pick it up. It's kind of like
it's going to feel like a monkey molesting a football.
It's going to feel like you're going to feel like a girl throwing a ball for a minute, but
whoa, it's 2025, Mike. You can't say those things anymore.
Yeah, hey, wait, you might technically be a girl he she. You're going to feel like a he she throwing a ball. But casting techniques, again, practice in your front yard. Get ready, get used to it.
Just time behind the wheel.
Time behind the wheel is the only thing. You're going to have some back and forth. You're going to get used to this one day, fish 2 or 3 days. This will be the bite. And then all of a sudden you're going to have to pick that Bama rig up and it's going to be just the opposite, heavy. And you're going from bulk, big stuff to finesse. Yeah. With that, I can close you. If you're making a choice from a 30-06 rifle to a 22, well, you're obviously hunting something different in the hunting world, okay? Because a 22 is not capable of killing what a 30-06 is. But just because I switched from a big bait caster to a drop shot, I used to say that I don't go bear hunting with the BB gun. Well, now I do a little bit.
Yeah, you can. And you can, if you once you get good with scope, you can identify what size fish you're looking at and all that stuff and kind of target the bigger ones. So that's a thing now.
And so, I mean, I know there's a lot of the pros that are even on fork. They're in 6-pound test. They get the bite. So,
God, that sucks.
I can't. You won't get me down to 6. You won't get me down to 6.
It is, man. Hey, there's times, there's times when you got to do it. This is the hottest technique in bass fishing is pinging the minnow. And the damn fuzzy dice thing, that's another thing that's getting really fuzzy balls, whatever it is. That deal is getting popular too. Like, it's getting popular for a reason. It's because these guys that their livelihood depends on them cashing those checks, especially these days with sponsored dollars dwindling. Man, they're pinging those minnows. They're pinging those minnows. They're pinging those dice. They're throwing what they can get bites on and get quality bites on and pressured fish or tough fisheries. This is just the deal. Unfortunately, I don't like fishing like this, but it is what you have to do if you want to be successful at times. Michael, appreciate you, sir.
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
Always.
Super
Thank
fun.
you so much.
Yes, sir.
Man, what's like the biggest fish you've caught on a minnow? How much did it weigh?
Me landing personally 6-7 pounds, but I will share experience. Last year, I was on one of my holes that I sit in. I said 6 or 7 again. I was sitting on one of my holes.
Listen. He didn't know. He did not know. He really didn't know until before the video.
And I said it again, not know.
And I literally just said it. And if he wasn't going to say 6 or 7, I was going to suggest it. And he said it anyway.
Didn't intentionally.
6 or 7.
But 6 or 7 pounds is about as big as I've
6-7
got.
takeover. It's taking over the whole world, Mike.
It's taking it over. But no, last year I was sitting on a hole that I camp on in February, and I fish high percentage spots where bass travel, coming like deer migrating trails. And I had a great guy with us. Say Rick Cruz was fishing with us, and DFW Forum owner. And he's a real energetic guy, so he wasn't going to sit there and fish Mike McFarland's strategic way, power pulled down. But the girls were, and the girls were catching a few. Well, Rick was running from back to front to back to front, throwing a minnow, and he had 3 big giants in that day, a 6, a 9, and something else. And it sold me that I need
even not scoping, just throwing
not
it
even scoping.
Yeah, just throwing
and
it
so,
fishing.
look, I don't mean to be arrogant. I know when I'm on fish, that's what I do. Put the boat in the right place. Just like a deer hunter's going to put the tree stands in the right place. Why I'm not catching them sometimes, I don't know.
Yeah.
What I do know is that he taught me that day they were all around us, and when they weren't biting, that minnow got bit, and that wasn't scoping. So if you put the scoping together now, I'm looking forward to this February getting right in that same spot. Thanks, Rick. Is this year I'm going to be scanning that, saying throw there, throw there.
It was in February?
Yeah.
Oh, I know where you were.
Yeah.
And
it's
it's like over there.
Yeah, it produces. Yeah, it produces every year. It just does.
We spent many mornings looking at each other in that area right there. Yeah.
I will be there again, but this year I will have, for the first time, a season.
Minnow.
First season ever. There'll be 2.
So if I'm not catching them and you're over there catching them, I'll know it's that dang minnow's
It's
getting
that
me.
sissy stick. We finally broke out the 6 or 7 sissy stick.
The 6 or 7, yes. All right, Mike, appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope this video helps. If all you old guys that are watching this don't know what 6-7 means, ask your kids or your grandkids. You'll figure it out real quick. Or maybe they won't tell you and they'll just laugh.
Yeah.
And it'll be a funny joke.
I'm gonna go home and say it and see what my grandgirls they're gonna squeal today.
Oh my gosh.
Man, I had a good day. There was something about 6 or 7 out there today.
Yeah, something about 6 or 7. It's the world's being taken over by 6-7. 6-7 taking over. We'll see you guys next time right here on your Lake Fork Guide. Wait a minute.
I was sleeping
Hold on, let me ask you this question. How many hours are you sleeping on?
about 6 to 7.
6,
6, 7, or 8.
6.
Max. That's a window. But I used to
He
sleep
doesn't
11.
know. He doesn't know.